The wind began before midnight. It started as a whisper moving through the dry grass outside the small town of Laren. The town rested between low hills and quiet fields, far from any city. The night had been peaceful until the clouds rolled in, dark and heavy, turning the stars into shadows. In her small workshop at the edge of town, Mira worked alone. She was an engineer who repaired old machines for local farmers. Her hands were steady, her eyes sharp even under the flickering light. She loved her work because machines never lied. They only broke when something was wrong, and they always gave a reason when you listened carefully. That night she was fixing a broken solar drone. The tiny craft had belonged to a farmer who used it to map his crops. The drone's circuits were old, its energy core half burnt. Mira leaned close, her fingers stained with oil, as thunder rolled far away like a warning. She looked up at the ceiling when the second thunderclap came. The sound shook the walls. The wind outside grew stronger, slamming against the glass window. She walked over and looked out. The sky had turned strange, flashing silver and green between clouds. For a moment, everything went silent. Then the ground trembled under her feet. The vibration was deep, not like a normal quake. It felt alive. Tools on the table rattled. The lamp swung back and forth. She steadied it with her hand. In the distance, across the open field, something bright pushed up through the soil. At first, Mira thought it was lightning hitting the ground, but the light did not fade. It kept rising. The earth split open, lifting in chunks, and a structure began to emerge. Her breath caught. It looked like a building, but it was made of smooth, dark stone, covered with glowing lines that moved like streams of energy. The light was soft blue, and it pulsed as if the structure had a heartbeat. Outside, dogs barked. The power in her workshop flickered and went out. The whole town seemed to lose light. Yet the thing in the field glowed even brighter, casting long shadows across the road. Mira grabbed her scanner and jacket. She hesitated only for a second before stepping into the storm. The rain hit her face like cold glass, but she kept walking. Curiosity drove her forward. Fear came later for others, but for Mira, discovery always came first. By the time she reached the edge of the field, several people from town were already there. Farmers, workers, and 2 guards stood staring at the strange object. They spoke in low voices, trying to understand what they were seeing. "Is that some kind of ship?" one man asked. "Maybe an old bunker," another said. "No bunker glows like that," Mira replied quietly. The ground continued to shake slightly. From where she stood, the structure looked like a tomb, a tall rectangular tower half buried in soil. Runes and symbols ran down its sides. She had seen nothing like them before. They weren't human letters, but they looked familiar, as if they had been drawn from the same roots as the oldest languages on Earth. When lightning flashed again, she noticed something else. A faint circle on the front of the structure. It was a door. And when the thunder rolled, the lines around that circle brightened, responding to the sound. One of the guards stepped forward with a light stick and scanned the entrance. "Radiation's low. Temperature's normal," he said. "But I wouldn't go near it." Mira moved closer anyway. She felt something pulling her toward it, not physically, but inside her chest, like a quiet voice telling her to come closer. The others called out for her to stop, but she ignored them. Her scanner buzzed, showing readings she couldn't believe. The energy signature was unknown. It was not chemical, not nuclear, not even quantum as humans understood it. It was alive in a way no machine should be. She reached the base of the structure. The glowing lines shifted as she approached. She placed her palm on the surface. It was warm, smooth, and slightly vibrating under her touch. The blue light brightened instantly. The people behind her gasped. The door in front of her opened with a deep, low sound like the breath of the earth itself. Warm air escaped from within, carrying the smell of old metal and rain. Mira took a step back, startled but fascinated. Inside, faint lights floated in the darkness like tiny stars. The air shimmered with dust that glittered as if it reflected memories. "Don't go in there," someone shouted. "You don't know what it is." Mira looked back for a second. She saw fear on their faces. But in her heart, she felt a calmness that didn't belong to the storm. She turned again toward the open doorway. Something inside was waiting. She could feel it. She stepped forward slowly. The rain stopped as if the world had paused to watch her. The air inside was still. The sound of the storm faded. She turned on her wrist light and pointed it ahead. The interior was vast and circular, filled with walls that seemed to breathe faint light through their patterns. The design was both alien and strangely human, like something built by minds that once thought like hers. Her scanner's screen blinked with a message she didn't understand. The symbols were changing rapidly, then shifted into English words. "Welcome back." Her pulse quickened. How could the tomb know her language? She looked around. There was no sign of machines or computers. The light seemed to come from the walls themselves. She spoke quietly. "Who built this?" Her voice echoed softly, then faded into silence. For a moment she thought she heard something else, like a whisper in the air, but it was too faint to be sure. Behind her, the door began to close slowly. She turned, but it sealed completely before she could reach it. The glowing lines moved across the surface again, and she was trapped inside. She tried her wrist communicator, but there was no signal. The air around her pulsed once, and her scanner went blank. Then a sound filled the chamber, a low hum like the awakening of an ancient engine. Lights appeared on the floor, forming a path that led deeper inside. Mira hesitated, but the same strange calm filled her again. It wasn't fear now. It was connection. It was as if the tomb recognized her presence. She followed the glowing path. Her steps echoed softly. The walls were covered in carvings that told stories she couldn't read. She saw figures raising towers, crossing stars, and standing beside creatures that looked part human and part machine. At the center of the chamber stood a stone pillar with a smooth metal surface on top. A faint light hovered above it, moving like a flame in the wind. When Mira approached, it grew brighter. A soft voice filled the air. It was not loud, but seemed to speak inside her mind. "You are human," it said. "You carry the code. After so long, one of you returns." Mira froze. She turned, expecting to see someone, but she was alone. The voice continued, calm and ancient. "I am the Guardian. I was placed here when the sky was young. The storms are my signal. You have awakened me," she whispered. "Guardian? What is this place?" "This is a vault of memory," the voice replied. "A tomb for what was once alive, a door to what must rise again." Mira looked around the walls again. The carvings glowed faintly now, showing more figures. Humans standing beside strange machines reaching toward stars. Her breath trembled as realization grew in her heart. This was not alien. This was connected to humanity, to something forgotten. The Guardian's voice became softer. "The storm that woke me is not a storm of nature. It is a warning. Those who buried me are watching once more." Mira looked up. "Who buried you?" "The ones who feared what you would become," the Guardian said. "The ones who thought the light of your kind should be buried deep." The lights dimmed for a moment. Outside, thunder rumbled again. Mira felt the vibration through the floor. The tomb itself seemed alive, listening. The Guardian spoke again, this time almost like a whisper. "You must prepare. The world will change after this night." Mira stood still. Her reflection glowed faintly in the metal surface before her. Her eyes showed both fear and wonder. When the next flash of lightning came from outside, the entire tomb pulsed once, as if breathing. The storm above grew wilder, and she realized the tomb's energy was connected to it. She took a slow breath and whispered to herself, "What did I just awaken?" The Guardian answered quietly, "Not what, but who." Outside, the storm reached its peak. The people of Laren ran for cover, unaware that the thing rising from their soil was not an enemy, but a memory of a forgotten age. And inside, Mira stood before the light, her heart racing, her mind filled with questions. The tomb had risen, and the world would never be the same again. Inside the tomb, the air was still and warm. The light came softly from the walls, filling the space with a calm glow that seemed to breathe. Mira stood near the central pillar, her heart beating fast. She had just heard a voice that spoke inside her mind, calling itself the Guardian. For a moment, she wondered if she was imagining it, but then the light shifted again. Lines of blue energy ran along the floor like rivers, forming shapes and symbols. The walls began to move slightly, rearranging themselves into patterns she had never seen before. She stepped back, watching in awe. Her scanner, which had gone blank before, blinked alive again. New symbols appeared on its small screen, moving fast until they changed into words she could read. It said, "Identity recognized, human." Her breath caught. She whispered to herself, "It knows who I am." Then the voice spoke again, calm and deep. "You are human. The blood of the first builders flows in you. I have waited for your return for many lifetimes." Mira turned slowly in a circle, trying to find the source. The voice was not coming from any one place. It seemed to fill the entire chamber, surrounding her like the wind. "Where are you?" she asked quietly. "I am within this structure," said the voice. "I was created by your ancestors to guard the memory of their journey. I was given a single purpose, to wait for one who still carries the true code of humanity." Mira frowned. "What code?" "I don't understand." "You will," said the Guardian. "The code is not written in your machines. It is written in your being. It is what allowed your kind to build worlds, to dream beyond stars. It was almost lost, but you have awakened me, which means the code still lives." The words sent a chill through her. She walked toward the pillar again. It now projected a faint image above its surface. The image looked like a map, filled with dots of light scattered across a black void. Some dots glowed brighter than others. "Is that space?" she asked. "Yes," replied the Guardian. "These are the worlds of the first travelers. Long ago, your kind reached beyond the limits of your sun. You built cities among the stars, but there was war and fear and silence. I was buried here to protect what remained." Mira's eyes widened. "You mean humans left Earth before? Before recorded history?" The Guardian's tone grew softer. "Yes, you are not the first to look at the stars with hope. You are the children of those who came before." The thought made her feel both small and powerful at once. She had studied technology, not history. Yet this discovery could rewrite everything she knew. She looked at the glowing walls again. Symbols flowed like waves, forming pictures that told a story. Figures of people working beside tall machines, ships flying between worlds, then great storms swallowing everything. At the end of the story, one figure stood alone beside a tall stone structure, the same tomb she was standing in now. "That was when I was sealed," said the Guardian. "When the stars went dark, I was placed beneath this world to wait for the next dawn. My creators hoped that one day, Earth would be ready to remember." Outside, thunder echoed again, reminding her that the storm still raged above. Mira stepped closer to the wall and placed her hand against it. The surface was warm, almost alive. The light beneath her palm grew brighter. The Guardian spoke again, softer now. "You carry the signal," it said. "Your presence awakened me. But the storm is not of nature. It was caused by them," she frowned. "Who are they?" "The ones who buried me. The ones who feared what humanity could become. They are not human anymore. They changed themselves long ago, trading their hearts for endless control. They are the silent ones." Mira felt a shiver run through her. The way the Guardian said the name made it sound ancient, like something from a legend. "They are coming," the Guardian added. "They will seek to bury this world again. They will not allow the memory to rise." For a long moment, Mira stood in silence. She didn't know what to say. The air inside the tomb hummed softly, as if alive with thought. She whispered, "If they come, what can I do? I'm just one person." "You are human," the Guardian said. "That is more than enough." Mira took a deep breath and looked around again. The map of stars above the pillar changed shape. Lines connected the points, forming constellations that looked familiar. At the center of the pattern was Earth. From it, a beam of light extended outward to a far corner of the map. "What is that place?" she asked. The Guardian replied, "It is the origin of the message that awakened the tomb. It came from beyond your system, from one of the lost colonies. They still remember, but they are in danger." "So this tomb wasn't just waiting," Mira said. "It was waiting for a signal." "Yes," said the Guardian. "And now that the signal has come, I must prepare. But I need your help. My systems are weak. The centuries beneath the soil have dimmed my power. I need a human hand to reactivate what was lost." Mira looked down at the pillar again. A small panel opened on its side, showing a smooth crystal sphere glowing faintly. She reached out carefully. The moment her fingers touched it, light spread through the chamber, covering the walls, ceiling, and floor. The carvings lit up one by one, showing new images. Machines awakening, ships taking flight, humans standing together beneath twin suns. She could feel warmth spreading through her hand, not painful but full of energy. "You are unlocking the memory," said the Guardian. "Each light you see is a part of the truth your world forgot." The light dimmed slowly, leaving her breathing heavily. The sphere cooled under her hand. She looked up and saw a narrow passage opening on the far side of the chamber. "What is that?" she asked. "A path," the Guardian replied. "It leads to the core where I was built. There you will find what remains of the first seed." She didn't know what the seed meant, but curiosity burned in her stronger than fear. She took her wrist light and stepped into the passage. The corridor was narrow, lined with the same smooth metal. Her footsteps echoed quietly. The deeper she went, the more the air changed. It grew warmer, filled with a low vibration that felt like a heartbeat. When she reached the end, she found a small chamber with a circular platform in the center. On it rested a transparent cube filled with swirling gold mist. It glowed gently, lighting the room in a soft, calm hue. The Guardian's voice followed her there. That is the seed of origin. It holds the genetic code and memory patterns of the first humans who left Earth. With it, I can restore what was lost. But the signal from the stars means they need help. The Silent Ones have found them. Mira stared at the cube. If this is true, then we're not alone. There are humans out there who never came back. Yes, said the Guardian, and they are calling for you. She felt dizzy for a moment. Everything she had known about history, science, and the human story was breaking apart. The idea that her ancestors had already crossed the stars thousands of years ago was almost impossible to believe. The Guardian's voice grew gentle again. You do not need to understand all at once. You only need to choose. Will you help me awaken the defense that was left for your world? Or will you let the silence fall again? Mira stood still, thinking. The world outside had always seemed small to her, full of simple routines. Fixing machines, selling parts, watching storms pass. But now she was standing inside a living relic built by the oldest humans, facing something that might decide the future of the planet. She said quietly, If what you say is true, then I can't turn away. Tell me what I have to do. Place your hand on the cube, said the Guardian. Your presence will give it new life. She hesitated, then slowly laid her palm against the surface. The cube glowed brighter. The golden mist inside began to swirl faster, forming shapes that looked like faces, cities, and stars. She could feel the warmth flowing up her arm, through her chest and into her mind. Images flashed before her eyes, humans walking under alien skies, standing beside glowing towers, looking up at twin moons. Then the images turned darker, battles, storms, and cities falling into silence. She gasped and pulled her hand back. The cube dimmed again. What was that? She asked. The memory, said the Guardian. Now it is part of you. You have seen what was lost. That knowledge will help guide what must come next. Mira stood there in silence, her mind filled with the images. The tomb no longer felt like a strange ruin. It felt like a living story trying to speak through time. Then the Guardian spoke one last time in a softer tone. The storm above is ending, but another one is coming. You must be ready. Tomorrow will not be the same. The light of the cube faded slowly, leaving the room quiet and golden. Mira stood alone, staring at it, her thoughts racing. The wind outside began to calm. The rain grew lighter. But deep beneath the earth, the tomb had awakened fully. Its energy pulsed like a heartbeat under the soil, reaching out beyond the stars. And somewhere far away, beyond the edge of the solar system, something answered. When morning came, the storm had gone. The sky over the small town of Laren was pale gray, and the air smelled of wet soil and lightning. But the field where the tomb stood no longer looked normal. The once soft ground had hardened into smooth black stone, shaped by the strange energy that had flowed during the night. Blue lines still ran faintly across its surface, glowing like veins beneath the earth. The tomb towered silently at the center, its shape unchanged but its presence stronger, as if it had taken root in the world again. Mira stood before it, exhausted but alert. She had not slept since the storm began. Her mind was filled with voices, memories, and lights she had seen in the night. The Guardian had shown her fragments of humanity's lost past, images of people walking under twin suns, ships leaving the old Earth, and the darkness that had followed. Now, as daylight returned, she wanted answers. Her friend Ryan arrived in a small hover truck from the nearby outpost. He was a simple man, calm and practical, the kind who fixed broken engines and did not believe in legends. When he saw the tomb, his expression changed completely. What happened here? He asked as he stepped down from the truck. The whole ridge looks melted. Mira turned toward him. It wasn't the storm. The tomb did this. He looked at her in disbelief. You mean that thing caused the lightning? She nodded slowly. It called it. The storm was part of its awakening. Ryan stared at her for a moment, unsure if she was serious. Mira, I think you need rest. You've been up all night. She raised her scanner and pointed it toward the structure. Look at this. The device buzzed softly. The screen showed a reading that made Ryan's eyes widen. That can't be right. This energy level is beyond anything we've seen. It's not nuclear, not solar, not even fusion. What kind of machine is this? It's not just a machine, Mira said. It's alive. Or something close to it. He looked at her again, this time with worry. Alive, you mean it can think? Yes, it spoke to me, Ryan blinked. You're saying it talked? She nodded. It called itself the Guardian. It said it was built by our ancestors long before recorded history. It said humans once left Earth and built worlds among the stars. He frowned. That sounds impossible. I thought so too, she replied quietly. But I saw the proof inside. It showed me images. Ships, people, cities. It said the tomb was buried to protect the last memory of the first travelers. Ryan rubbed his forehead, trying to understand. If what you're saying is true, then this could change everything we know about human history. It already has, Mira said softly. Before they could speak again, the ground trembled slightly. The air hummed with energy. The blue lines across the tomb began to glow brighter. Ryan stepped back, alarmed. What's it doing now? Mira stared at the glowing surface. It's waking up. I think it's linking to something underground. They watched as the patterns of light spread across the field. Within moments, the glow reached the edge of the nearby hills. The soil lifted in long, smooth shapes, revealing metallic roots that stretched deep into the earth. It was as if the tomb had been sleeping beneath the ground for ages, and now its buried limbs were stirring. Mira knelt and touched the surface. The Guardian's voice filled her mind again, calm and deep. You have done well, Mira. My systems are reconnecting. The network is awakening, she spoke aloud. What are you doing? The energy you feel is my link to the Earth core network, said the Guardian. Your world was once surrounded by machines built to protect it. They have been asleep for 1,000 generations. Now they remember. Ryan looked around nervously. Are you hearing that voice again? Mira nodded. It says the machines beneath the planet are waking. Ryan's eyes widened. Beneath the planet? Are you saying there's more of these things underground? Yes, said Mira. It says they were placed here to guard something called the Seed of Origin. Before Ryan could respond, a low rumble shook the air. The tomb released a bright pulse of light that spread outward like ripples in water. The ground lit up in patterns stretching far beyond what the eye could see. Ryan covered his eyes. Mira, what is happening? The Guardian's voice spoke again, now loud enough to echo faintly in the air. The tomb is the heart. The world is the body. The code of humanity flows once more. Then, high above, a beam of blue light shot into the sky. It passed through the clouds and vanished into the upper atmosphere. Mira looked up in awe. It's sending a signal. To where? Ryan asked. She shook her head. I don't know. Maybe to the stars. They watched as the beam faded. The tomb grew quiet again, though the air still hummed faintly. Mira turned to Ryan. If it's sending a signal, someone out there might receive it. Ryan frowned. You mean someone not from Earth? Mira looked at him, her expression serious. The Guardian said the storm was not natural. It said the ones who buried it are still watching. Maybe this signal will bring them. Ryan's face turned pale. That doesn't sound good, she nodded. It might not be. They both stood in silence for a moment, the soft hum of the tomb filling the air. Then a flicker appeared in the distance, a small drone flying low, moving toward them from the direction of the town. It was one of the town's security drones. It hovered above them and projected a holographic image of Officer Leon, the local patrol leader. Mira, we've been getting strange readings from your location, Leon said. Are you safe? People in town are reporting blackouts and strange lights. I'm fine, Mira replied. But you need to tell everyone to stay calm and stay away from the field. This structure is not dangerous right now, but it's active. Leon frowned. Active? You mean it's working? Yes, and it's communicating with something beyond our reach. Before she could explain more, the hologram flickered and vanished. The drone dropped to the ground, its power suddenly cut off. Ryan looked up sharply. The signal is down. It just killed all communication. Mira turned back toward the tomb. The glowing lines had started pulsing in rhythm now, like a heartbeat. The Guardian's voice returned, quieter but urgent. They have detected me. They are coming. Mira's heart raced. Who's coming? The silent ones, said the Guardian. They are the ones who buried me. They are the ones who feared your kind. They are not like you anymore. Ryan looked alarmed. Are they aliens? The Guardian's voice grew still. They were human once. Mira stared at the tomb, her voice trembling slightly. What do you mean they were human once? Long ago, when your ancestors reached the stars, some among them chose to abandon the code of life, said the guardian. They replaced their bodies with metal, their hearts with silence. They called it perfection. They called it peace. But they lost what made them human. When the war came, they buried me to hide the truth that could make humanity rise again. Mira and Ryan stood in silence, trying to absorb what they had just heard. The idea that the enemies of humanity were once human themselves felt heavier than any myth. What do we do? Ryan asked quietly. Prepare, said the guardian. They will come for me, but I will not face them alone this time. The tomb is ready, and so are the ones who will remember. As the voice faded, a deep sound rose from beneath the earth, like engines awakening after 1,000 years. The ground trembled again, stronger this time. Ryan steadied himself. It feels like something big is moving underground. Mira's eyes glowed faintly in the blue light. It's the network, she said. The machines beneath the planet. They're answering the Guardian's call. Moments later, several glowing shapes began to rise from the field around them. They were tall, smooth machines shaped like towers, each covered in blue lines similar to the tombs. They stood in silence as if waiting for orders. The Guardian spoke again. The defense systems are awakening. They will protect this world until humanity stands again. Ryan looked up at the machines, his voice barely above a whisper. It's like watching the earth itself come alive. Then the air shimmered. The light from the tomb brightened once more, forming a wide circle on the ground. Inside it, symbols appeared, shifting and spinning like gears. Mira recognized one of the symbols from the carvings inside. It meant unity. The Guardian's tone softened. You have awakened the first defense, but the storm to come will test your courage. The silent ones will arrive soon. When they do, you must choose whether to hide or to stand. Mira looked at the glowing field, then at Ryan. If the Guardian is right, this isn't just a tomb. It's the heart of something much larger. Maybe even a reminder of who we really are. Ryan nodded slowly. Then we stand. High above, the clouds began to gather again, though no wind followed. It was not a storm this time. It was something else. A light flickered far up in the sky, small but growing brighter. Mira felt her pulse quicken. She looked at the tomb and whispered, They're coming, aren't they? The Guardian answered softly, Yes, and this time, humanity will not hide. The light in the sky grew larger, breaking into several smaller shapes that descended through the clouds. The machines on the ground lifted their heads, humming with new power. The tomb glowed brighter than ever, its patterns alive with motion. Mira and Ryan stood together in the blue light, watching as the unknown ships approached from above. The Guardian spoke one last time before silence returned. The first contact begins again, and with that the air above the field shimmered as the ships broke through the clouds, marking the beginning of what the world would later call the Second Dawn. The first light of dawn broke through the gray clouds, but the sky was far from peaceful. Mira stood near the tomb's entrance, watching the horizon tremble. The air carried a strange hum that grew louder every minute. It was as if the world was waiting for something to arrive. Ryan adjusted the scanner in his hands and frowned. The screen showed 3 bright signals moving fast through the atmosphere. These are not human ships, he said quietly. No engine trail, no heat signature. There's something else. Mira could feel the vibrations through the ground. The Guardian's voice echoed softly from within the tomb. They have found me. The descendants of the first travelers. They have forgotten what they were, but their systems still recognize the signal. The sky suddenly darkened again. 3 smooth black shapes appeared among the clouds, their surfaces reflecting the stormlight. The ships had no wings or thrusters. They simply hovered, held in place by an invisible force. Then they began to descend. The people in the nearby town had already fled during the night. Only Mira and Ryan remained close to the tomb, hidden among the rocks. They watched as the ships landed beyond the ridge, quiet as falling leaves. The ground trembled slightly, and then silence returned. The Guardian spoke again. They are cautious. They will not attack immediately. They will first try to understand what has awakened. Mira's heart pounded in her chest. Can we communicate with them? You can, the Guardian said. You carry a trace of the ancient code. It rests within all humans, but in you it has awakened more clearly, because you touched the core. Ryan looked at her in disbelief. You mean she's part of this? This old machine is reading her DNA? Yes, said the Guardian. She carries what they once called the key of return. Through her, the past may open. Mira took a deep breath. She didn't feel like any kind of key. She was just an engineer, used to fixing drones and solar panels, not facing beings from the stars. But she couldn't deny what had happened since the storm began. The tomb, the voice, the visions, they had chosen her somehow. Ryan turned his eyes toward the ridge. We need to see them up close. If they came from the stars, we have to understand what they want. They crept along the edge of the field, hiding behind stones and broken fences. From their position, they could see the ships clearly now. They were smooth like glass with soft lines of blue light running along their sides. The air around them shimmered faintly. Then the first of the beings stepped out. He was tall and slender, wearing armor that seemed to grow directly from his body. His skin had a pale metallic tone, and his eyes were bright silver, reflecting everything around him. Two more followed him. One carried a small device that scanned the air, while the other studied the ground where the tomb's energy had spread. They spoke in low voices, in a language neither Mira nor Ryan had ever heard. Yet somehow Mira could understand pieces of it. The tomb's inner energy was translating for her, whispering meanings in her mind. They are searching for the source, she said softly. They know the Guardian has awakened. Ryan looked uneasy. If they find us, what happens? Before Mira could answer, one of the beings lifted his head sharply. His silver eyes turned directly toward their hiding place. He raised a hand and the other stopped moving. A moment later, a soft light swept across the ridge, scanning everything. They see us, Ryan whispered. The Guardian's voice came quickly. Do not run. If you flee, they will see you as enemies. Step forward with calm and speak. Ryan shook his head. You can't be serious, but Mira knew the Guardian was right. She stood slowly, her hands raised, and stepped out from behind the rocks. The wind tugged at her coat as she faced the three figures. They did not move at first. Then the one with silver eyes took a step closer. You are human, he said in a quiet, even voice. His accent was strange, almost melodic, but not like those we have observed from afar. You are marked. Mira nodded slowly. The tomb called to me. It says you are descendants of the first travelers. The being tilted his head. The word tomb does not belong here. It is not death that sleeps below, but memory. Behind her, Ryan came forward carefully. What do you want from us? The being looked at him, then back to Mira. We came for what was sealed beneath your world. Long ago, our ancestors left Earth to escape the storms of their time. But before they left, they buried the Guardian to protect the code of life. We thought it lost, until now. Mira felt a strange pull in her chest again, the same as when she had first touched the tomb. Then why are you afraid of it? The Guardian said you were the ones who buried him. The being's expression grew unreadable. The Guardian is not just a protector. It carries the authority to awaken what we cannot control, the old defense systems, the memory fleets. If those are awakened, the cycle begins again. The cycle? Ryan asked. The cycle of return, said the being. When humanity remembers its strength and reclaims the stars. But power without memory is dangerous. You are not ready. The Guardian's voice filled the air then, deeper and stronger. You have forgotten who you are. You turned from your origin. The seed of Earth was not meant to fade. The being stiffened. The one with silver eyes spoke toward the tomb. We remember enough to know the danger. The last time the Guardian awoke, the worlds burned. A wave of blue light rippled from the tomb as if the Guardian's tone carried weight. The worlds burned because you hid the truth. The humans on Earth deserved to know who they were. Ryan felt the ground shift slightly. The tomb's patterns were spreading again, bright veins of light running across the soil. Mira, what's happening? He asked. The Guardian answered, the choice must be made soon. The code-bearer must decide whether to awaken the memory. Mira's heart raced. You mean me? I don't even understand what that means. Touch the core once more, said the Guardian. Your will is enough. The silver-eyed being took a sudden step forward. Stop. If you release that power, you may destroy what remains of balance in this world. Ryan moved closer to Mira. Maybe we should think. We don't know what this could do. Mira looked between them, the ancient being warning her to stop and the Guardian asking her to continue. She felt trapped between two truths, both heavy and real. Then something in the air shifted. The wind grew strong again, carrying a faint hum. From far above, the clouds opened and shafts of light poured down. Inside the tomb, a low rhythm began like a heartbeat. The guardian spoke again, softer now. They will try to seal me again. But this time the world will not stay asleep. You have already awakened part of the network. The stars have seen your signal. The silver-eyed leader raised his hand, signaling to his companions. Small drones flew out from their ships, hovering above the tomb. They projected a dome of energy, trying to suppress its glow. Mira ran forward. "Stop. You'll destroy it." But the leader said calmly, "We will contain it. Humanity is not ready for its own memory." The light from the tomb grew brighter. Ryan grabbed Mira's arm, pulling her back as the ground cracked. A beam of golden light shot into the sky, cutting through the clouds. The ships shook under its force, their hulls flickering. The Guardian's voice filled the air, deep and echoing. "You cannot contain the truth forever." The silver-eyed being shielded his face from the light, shouting to Mira, "If you finish this, you will awaken the fleet. The Earth will no longer belong to humans alone." Mira hesitated. Her mind was torn. But then she remembered the holograms she had seen earlier. The images of the first humans walking among stars, building cities of light. They had been explorers, not conquerors. They had built the Guardian not to rule, but to protect. She looked at Ryan, then stepped toward the tomb's heart again. The air shimmered around her as she placed her hand on the central stone. The light answered her touch, calm and warm. The Guardian's tone changed to one of peace. "It is done. The past is ready to return." The ships above stopped firing. The beings lowered their weapons. The silver-eyed leader looked at Mira with something almost like respect. "You have chosen the harder path," he said. "May your kind be strong enough to walk it." The storm faded. The sky turned clear for the first time in days. The tomb no longer felt like a grave, but a living monument. Mira stepped back, breathing deeply as the sun rose behind the hills. Whatever she had awakened, it was now part of Earth again, and somewhere far beyond the sky, something had begun to answer the signal. The Guardian spoke softly one last time that morning. "The age of silence ends. Humanity's light will rise once more." Mira looked toward the ships in the distance, their forms glowing gently in the dawn. The future felt uncertain but alive, filled with both wonder and warning. She didn't know what would come next, but she was ready to face it. The storm had ended, but the real journey had just begun. The morning sun spread golden light over the field where the tomb had risen. Mira stood near its entrance, the cool breeze brushing her face. The storm from the night before was gone, but the world had changed. The tomb no longer seemed like a strange monument. It pulsed softly, alive with energy that spread through the ground and into the air. Ryan stood beside her, scanning the horizon with a mixture of awe and worry. "It's quiet now," he said. "Too quiet. Are you sure it's safe?" Mira shook her head, looking at the smooth, glowing walls. "I don't think anything can hurt it, or us." The Guardian said that once it awoke, the memory network of the Earth would protect itself. She remembered the words of the silver-eyed beings, the descendants of the first travelers. They had paused their attack after seeing her choose to activate the tomb fully. Something about her had reminded them of their past, of who humanity had once been. The Guardian spoke softly within her mind, calm and clear. "The time has come to restore what was lost. Humanity's memory is waking." Mira took a deep breath. "Then let's do it." She walked toward the central pillar where the cube containing the seed of origin floated. The golden mist inside moved like liquid light. As she touched it, the energy surged through her, filling her body with warmth and a sense of clarity. She could see visions of the first humans leaving Earth, building towers of light and exploring distant worlds. The Guardian continued. "The fleet of memory is returning. You will see it soon." Ryan followed her closely. "What do you mean, fleet? Are there ships coming?" "Yes," said the Guardian. "Not just ships, but carriers of knowledge. The first humans created vessels to travel between worlds, carrying memory and culture. They were lost, but now they are waking." Suddenly, the ground shook gently. Mira looked up and saw small glimmers appearing far above the horizon. Ships, like specks of silver light, moved slowly down from the sky. Each one carried faint golden trails as if the sun itself had been captured in their hulls. Ryan gasped. "They're coming back." "Yes," said Mira. The Guardian said the fleet is answering the signal. The silver-eyed beings observed quietly from their ships hovering beyond the ridge. They did not move closer, only watching, understanding perhaps that the choice to awaken the tomb had been hers. Mira stepped forward, her hand still on the cube. The golden mist inside expanded outward and the tomb pulsed in response. The ground beneath them lit up in intricate patterns, glowing veins stretching across the field like a map. From far above, the first of the returning vessels landed gently. They were enormous, shaped like elongated diamonds, smooth and metallic, reflecting the sunlight. A soft hum came from their hulls, a sound that filled the air with a sense of life. The Guardian spoke in her mind, now calm and firm. Each vessel carries memory, history, knowledge, and the legacy of your ancestors. They are the proof of who you were and who you can become again. Mira felt a strange mix of excitement and responsibility. She had only been an ordinary engineer, working on broken drones and machines in her small town. But now she was standing at the center of something far greater, something that could change humanity's place in the stars. One of the ships opened a hatch. From it, beings like the silver-eyed ones descended. Their faces were human, yet refined, almost glowing with an inner light. They looked around, taking in the tomb and the land, their eyes filled with recognition. Mira stepped forward slowly. "I'm Mira," she said aloud. I awakened the tomb." One of them, taller than the rest, with eyes like molten silver, stepped closer. "I am Elan," he said softly. "We remember now. You have given us back what was lost," Ryan whispered beside her. They speak like us. They are human, but different." "Yes," said Mira. "The Guardian said they are descendants of humans who left Earth before recorded history. They carried the code with them, and now it has returned." Elan looked at her and then toward the tomb. "The world below will remember. Your people will have the chance to reclaim what was lost, to build, to explore. You have done well." Mira's chest swelled with emotion. "I didn't do it alone. The Guardian guided me, and the tomb. It chose to rise." The golden mist from the cube now filled the air around the tomb, drifting upward toward the sky. It mingled with the sunlight, creating a glow that stretched far across the field. Birds circled above, sensing the energy and reacting to it, their calls echoing through the hills. Suddenly, the silver-eyed beings spoke among themselves. Their words were soft, melodic, but Mira could feel the meaning. They were deciding whether humanity had grown strong enough to hold the memory without repeating past mistakes. The Guardian spoke again in her mind. "The choice is no longer yours alone. The fleet will return, and the future of humanity is in the hands of all who awaken with it." Ryan looked worried. "This is incredible. But what if it goes wrong?" Mira shook her head. "I have to trust them. I have to trust the Guardian. If humans lost the stars once, maybe this is the chance to find them again without fear." Elan stepped closer to her. "We will teach. We will guide. But humanity must remember itself to walk among the stars safely. The tomb is only the first step." Mira felt the weight of the words. She had started this journey by touching the tomb during a storm. Now she was part of a larger story, one that stretched across centuries and light years. The other ships landed beside the first, their forms casting long shadows across the glowing field. From their hulls descended humans, walking carefully with expressions of awe and wonder. Some touched the ground as if it were sacred. Others gazed at the tomb, reading its patterns instinctively, understanding the energy that had called them home. The Guardian spoke one last time. "The memory has returned. The fleet has returned. Humanity's light will rise once more. Protect it, teach it, remember it." Mira took a deep breath and stepped back from the cube. The golden mist retreated slightly, returning inside. The tomb now glowed softly, calm and steady as if breathing. Rian came to her side. "So, what happens now?" Mira smiled, her eyes reflecting the light of the rising fleet. "Now we learn, we watch, we remember, and maybe we build again." The returning humans approached the tomb and began to explore, sharing knowledge among themselves. Their ships opened small chambers, releasing holographic displays of maps, designs, and memories. Mira watched, fascinated, as histories she had never known unfolded before her. Elan turned toward her. "You are a part of this story now, Mira. You will guide those who remain on Earth and teach them what we bring." She nodded, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known before. "I will do my best." The sun rose higher, illuminating the tomb and the returning fleet. The blue and golden light intertwined, creating a bridge between the past and the future. Mira felt the pulse of the Guardian, steady and strong, And she realized that the tomb was not just a place of memory. It was a living symbol of humanity's strength, curiosity, and resilience. Rian looked around, finally smiling. I can't believe this. Everything we thought we knew, it was only the beginning. Yes, Mira said softly. The beginning of something greater. We have a chance to rise again? The silver-eyed beings nodded in understanding. They had returned not as conquerors, but as witnesses, as guides. Humanity's lost fleet, carrying centuries of knowledge, was back. The tomb had fulfilled its purpose. As the day grew brighter, the field became a place of learning and reunion. The humans from the fleet shared their knowledge with Mira, Rian, and the people of Lauren who had returned. Machines that had been forgotten were revived. The blue energy from the tomb spread outward, reconnecting with the land. Mira walked toward the tomb once more and placed her hand on the cube. The golden mist swirled around her fingers, gentle and warm. The guardian's voice whispered inside her mind one final time. You have awakened the memory of humanity. Protect it, cherish it, and never forget that even in storms the heart of the earth remembers. Tears filled Mira's eyes. She had never felt so small and yet so important. She looked at Ryan, at the returning humans, at the fleet now glowing in the sunlight, and she understood something simple but profound. Humanity had risen once before, and now it would rise again. The tomb had risen from the earth during a midnight storm, and with it the memory of the stars had returned. Mira smiled. The storm was over, the dawn had come, and humanity was ready to remember itself. The end.